Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Putt.
Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? Welcome back to First Contact Radio. Today is the 30th of March. We've arrived just about at the end. One more day to go this month, and then we're on into the new month. Seems like it's moving quick, doesn't it? All right, today we have one aspect that's already occurred, a couple that are going on. We have a transition between moon signs. So our sun sign is the same, Aries. Aries is about putting things in order, the pioneer, the leader. Okay, then we have a moon sign which has been in Sagittarius, but it's going to leave Sagittarius at 10:05 a.m., 2 hours from now, and it's going to move into Capricorn at 12:45 p.m. So we have that void period of time between 10 and 12:45. So we have like 2 hours 45 minutes during that period of time. So the aspects we're looking at today, we've already dealt with the wounded healer. That's what we're dealing with this morning. Our imagination is needing to get into the mix here to help understand what the healer needs, what the wounded part of ourselves needs. Our imagination can help to heal that. Coming up at 9:53 a.m., we have a lesson between Mercury and Pluto. Mercury, the communicator, Pluto, the transformer. Lesson going on, perhaps on how we communicate into the world, the words we speak, and so on. Perhaps that is what that's about. All I know is squares are about lessons. It's like running into a wall, and on the other side of the wall, you find the thing you're looking to gain experience with, but you got to get through this wall first. So this wall is this block, is this challenge, is this lesson, leading us to a deeper transformation about ourselves. And when we learn to communicate differently, that certainly affects us. The moon goes void, of course, at 10:05 a.m., and then we move into Capricorn at 12:45. So just to show you here, we have our sun sign, Emperor, Aries, current moon sign, Temperance, Sagittarius, the angel, the higher self. Coming up, Capricorn, the devil, the illusion. Everything about this card is illusionary. Illusionary because these two characters are only chained to the block because they think they are. This is, if we think of this as the story of Yaldabaoth, we have Yaldabaoth and we have the beings chained here because they don't realize, they are ignorant of their connection to the spiritual realms. The moment they understand their connection to the spiritual realms, these chains fall away, and we are no longer in the state of ignorance. Okay, this being itself, the Yaldabaoth character, he was in a state of ignorance, but then when he found out the truth about things, he became arrogant. We can sometimes see those lessons played out in the world, that when people find out truths, they deny the truths and then become more arrogant about the things that they don't know. It happens all the time, and it's always a surprising thing to see. It's like people who didn't study a subject suddenly are talking all about the particular subject they never studied, and they have zero clue. So we do that all the time. We need to just be aware of when that's going on, and we could see that playing itself out. Of course, with illusion, remember, it's illusion, so the things we see and that are going on in the world are illusionary. We need to look past them to see the deeper meaning of things. All right, got our grid here. The moon sign, or the moon phase, is 60% of the way full now, making our way back down to the new moon. 8 days from now, April 7th, will be that new moon. On the Jewish calendar, today is 20 Adar. 20 Adar 2. The daily thought for today is finding perfection. You have to begin with the knowledge that there is nothing perfect in this world. Our job is not to hunt down perfection and to live within it. It is to take whatever broken pieces we have found and sew them together to create beauty. Okay? Very important. This is a good phrase. Our job is not to hunt down perfection and live within it, but to take whatever broken pieces we have found and sew them together to create beauty. 10 dragon or planetary dragon is the symbol in the Dreamspell Oracle today. It's a planetary dragon guided by the moon. Phrase for today is I perfect in order to nurture producing being. I seal the input of birth with the planetary tone of manifestation. I'm guided by the power of universal water. Okay, just another way to look at time. And time in this system is 13 moons, a 13-day period of time where these 13 days have a theme. This is the theme of the human, the free will. So we learn lessons about each one of these particular things once a year or once a week for 13 days. Space weather, solar wind 528.4 kilometers per second. Planetary K index, quiet as a 2, could get up to a 3 over the next 24 to 48 hours. Nothing much in the way of coronal holes. And glass layer possibility as well as X are both down to 1%. Geomagnetic storm activity subsiding quite a bit over the next 24 hours, dropping from 20 to 10 in the mid latitudes, upper latitudes from 25 down to 10. So there is quite a decrease. Remember, the universe is inhaling and exhaling. And finally, looking up at the sky, the last quarter moon tonight, exactly at 11:17 a.m. The moon rises very late, around 2 a.m. local time, with Mars and Saturn pointing down from the upper right. All right, there you go. Cosmic weather for today. So just remember, we're making a transition on the unconscious side from Sagittarius, which is all about truth, searching out truth, to Capricorn, where we have a lot of illusion, which is hiding the truth. Okay, we could find examples all over the world, certainly throughout America, of this taking place. We'll see how the day goes, but just remember those are the things we're dealing with. Brings us to UFO news.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk, thank you very much. Today I got 4 stories, as per usual. The first one from Australia, Mudgee, Australia, March 27th. 3 UFOs flying over Mudgee. Okay, this is infrared converted cam to see these UFOs. A normal cam cannot see most of these. What we have is a Canon AX25 Full HD camera. Comes to us from Laszlo Novak. Catches a lot of UFOs. And it's a 7-minute long video. I'm going to leave that to you to check out the whole thing, but we'll get the idea here once we see them. There we go. We see something that's right in this area here. It's just a faint little white dot. There it is, right in the middle of the screen. See that? Right there. Okay. Very good. I'm going to move on from this to the next story. This is a green UFO caught over Cajarc, France, March 28th. There's our object in the sky, a nice little green light. Green UFO was seen in France this week. It looks like its cloak was revealed because of the angle of the setting sun in the distance. He saw it with the naked eye and followed it with the camera. Excellent catch of a ship. The eyewitness says, I was taking pictures of the French mountains with a friend using long exposure time on a small path close to the town when I saw a strange light among the clouds. I first thought it was the moon, but then I remembered it was a day of the new moon. Besides, it was moving slowly back and forth, literally. I was fascinated. I did not know what it could be at all, but it was beautiful, so I took a picture. 10 seconds exposure, so the object is blurred because of its motion. The light around it looked unreal, as if it were a very powerful but very far object above the mountains. That's why I thought it was a UFO. My friend was amazed too. Gradually, the light became dimmer. The object vanished in the dark a few seconds. All remained were clouds, and then we went home. Okay. Next, amazing footage of a UFO over Massachusetts, March 29th. Check out this interesting video of a strange craft flying at low altitude in the night sky above Massachusetts, filmed yesterday, March 30th. Witness says driving towards the village commons in South Hadley, my friend and I could see two bright lights in the sky that looked like headlights. They were just sitting in the same spot for a long time. We could see them about half a mile away. As we got towards the center of the village commons, it looked as though the UFO was now over us. The two lights that we had previously seen turned into three very bright lights. As we were freaking out, I had climbed into the back seat of the car and stuck my head out the window. I could see the three very bright lights in a triangle shape. As I was looking at them, I could make out the circular shape of the craft. It was very low and gigantic. Not long after that, I just sat above us and hovered. It started to move very fast and got far away. At this point, I needed to head home, but my friend who witnessed it with me continued to search for it after I left. He found it again. She found it again on the 202 South Hadley and followed all the way to Memorial Drive in Chicopee. She called me freaking out, saying how close she was to it and that she was going to pull over and try to capture a picture. As soon as she parked, she said she was underneath it like it was before, and then the phone started to act up. I started to lose her, and eventually the call dropped. She called me back freaking out, telling me she captured pictures and a video. I strongly believe that what I saw was a UFO tonight. You can watch the video and decide for yourself whether or not you believe my story. Alright, there's the object in question. You could see it. The two lights, looks like they just became one. And this is what they followed across the sky. Alright, moving on. Next story here, last one of the UFO report for today. Two sisters and the horror of a lifetime of abductions. Well, writing and interviewing the group of people to whom I refer as real-time abductees, two sisters became part of the abductee group. I use the term real-time abduction to describe abductions and lost time events that regular everyday people are forced to endure while going about the routine of their normal daily lives. The people are not asleep or hypnotized. They do get messages telepathically. These abductions occur while people are fully awake and going about the normal routine business of their everyday lives. There are common occurrences that link these specific types of abduction. People are all fully awake, going about their business day or night, when suddenly they find they are in a situation that leaves them open to being taken. They may be driving alone in their cars, or walking down a lonely street, or simply placing their trash out in the night for a pickup the next day. All that is needed is a moment of opportunity for those who take these people to quickly snatch and abduct them for whatever purpose they so desire. Real-time abductees usually remember the start of the encounter and what they were doing when the approach of the either strange lights and the unknown craft or odd life forms appear. The abductees may or may not have any recall of what takes place during the time when they are taken by their captors, but they do recall waking up ill and shaken, sometimes close to where they were taken at. Other times they might be miles from where the abduction occurred. The abductee usually finds a lost time of about 3 hours, and at the best only flash memories of what took place while they were missing. Many of the people I've interviewed over the years have been tortured with these strange lost time events of abduction, starting in childhood and continuing on during their lifetimes until they are in their 70s. Many come from families where the oddness is generational and can be traced back to parents or grandparents. There are families where multiple members are taken. I'm sad to report that I have been contacted by two older members of the abduction group that I interviewed and wrote about a few summers ago. They wanted to inform me of what was continuing to happen to them. I somehow thought, as I started my research years ago on the subject, that with age would come a reduction of abduction events in the life of the abductees. Many of them who were aging did find they were no longer being taken, and they did feel the aging process could be what was protecting them from these horrid kidnappings and abusive abductions by unknown beings. Kate and Donna are two sisters who were both lifelong abductees, as was their father. Now both serious seniors, they hoped they were past having to deal with the horror of abduction at this point in their lives, but unfortunately it appears to continue despite the fact that they were aging and were hopeful that this nightmare would end with their advanced ages. The younger sister, in her early 60s, recently retired from a successful career in science, mostly in research labs. The other sister, a bit older and at the age 75, spends her time in her home, retired from her career as a medical doctor. The sisters have successful careers as well as being married with children and grandchildren. By all outward appearances, they would not think anything was out of the ordinary or strange in the lives of the sisters. They appear normal in all ways, including living in typical suburban homes surrounded by long-term neighbors, friends, and family. It has been a long, hard road for Kate and Donna, as they've been fighting with dealing with lost time abductions ever since they were children. Kate recalls being taken very early in life, starting at age 4 or age 5, while Donna's events began later in life, with the first event happening in her early 20s. The sisters have other siblings who seem to have been spared this burden of abduction. However, the women's father, stating when he was 13, also suffered abduction scenarios, which stayed with him until he was in the late 50s. Sisters, knowing this about their father, hoped their lives would be spared continued abductions once they started to age. Sadly for them, that is not the case. Both sisters have had continuous abductions. Kate contacted me to let me know that she and her entire family would be leaving with the sister family to a new area in which they will be taking drastic steps, which I will not be going into, in order that they try to prevent any more events happening to the sisters. The sisters met with me to tell me what had happened to them, and to my regret, to say goodbye. All right, much more to the articles here, going into the details of their abductions, but I'm going to leave that to you because it's a lengthy article. I am going to move on, so stay tuned. I'll be right back.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Underground is where they live, in the bases that are secretive. We're not supposed to know where they come from or where they go. And if you ask our leaders today, this is what they will say. I can neither confirm or deny. I can neither confirm or deny. I can neither confirm or deny. What's up with their lives? Plausible deniability. That's their answer to all we think we see. So pay attention, read between the lines. Changes are happening, revealing lies. And if you ask our leaders today, this is what they will say. I can neither confirm or deny. I can neither confirm or deny. I can neither confirm or deny. What's up with their lives?
All right, let's continue on. Continuing on. So, before we jump into the next subject, just want to take a moment. I don't know if you're paying attention to what's going on in the political arena out there. I don't want to get too heavy-handed on this. over the course of time. But I do pay attention and do want to, say my piece from time to time. I find it quite fascinating. Yesterday I did a piece on the media manipulation, and we certainly see the media manipulation happening really strongly these days. People used to think that the media was all out on their own, but as I showed you yesterday, they're all working together. And it's really becoming more evident the way in which they're bonding together, where all of the networks are coming together to attack one single person, Donald Trump. I find it fascinating that this man, who has had great success as a businessman in the world, is being attacked by so many, from the president of this country to presidents of other countries to heads of different religious organizations, on and on and on, to the various groups here in America which are trying to stop him. And the one difference that is between Donald and the other candidates on both sides of the fence is where his money comes from, that he's self-funding, that he doesn't have donors to answer to. And because of that, he is running things a little differently, and that has the powers that be shaken up. That's a good thing, that they need to be shaken up, because look how many people have shown their true colors. Look how many lies are being told throughout the course of this. The most recent one, you have this incident that occurred in Florida with this reporter who used to work with Breitbart. She lied. You could see that, there was an incident that occurred, but it wasn't like she said. I was even reading the police report that she had filed, where she said that the manager of the manager of Trump, Corey, we saw what happened. He reached out, and there's a report from the Secret Service. They're looking for confirmation of this, but report from the Secret Service that allegedly says she crossed the line twice. She wasn't where she was supposed to be. And then this is when the incident occurred. But the report that she filed said that he used his teeth and I believe his head to stop her. Well, there wasn't any of that occurred. This woman lied. And then you've got all the other things going on with the other politicians. I mean, Ted Cruz just doesn't seem to know the truth. It would hit him in the face. And then yesterday when he did that talk and Carly Fiorina jumped in to answer the question about his infidelity, seems kind of strange. I mean, she went from getting knocked out of the race to supporting Rubio, and then suddenly jumping from Rubio when he got out to Cruz. In the music industry, they would call those girls groupies, who go from one band to the next, to the next, to the next. Seems like that's what she's doing, hopping from one candidate to the next. But there's a twist. There's a connection between her and the Cruz campaign and the super PAC, and it seems that connection is in the information that was sent out about Trump's wife, and that the original picture where she was nude laying on the thing, the photo shoot she had done. It appears that there's a trail leading back to Cruz, leading back to Carly Fiorina, and then there's the $500,000 that Carly Fiorina's campaign got from Ted Cruz's super PAC. Very bizarre. The media, of course, is remaining hush on all of these things and only reporting on things that seem to be against Donald. The most recent thing you're going to hear throughout the course of the day is how he rescinded his pledge. Guess what? Before he said anything about his pledge, Ted Cruz rescinded his pledge. And then when John Kasich had an opportunity to be asked about it, he rescinded his pledge. So all of them rescinded their pledge. Mr. Trump says he was going to have to reconsider the idea because he hasn't been treated fairly, and we could see that he hasn't. There are those out there who are diehard fans that really are following along with what's going on. You could see that he hasn't been treated fairly. And then you have all of the people that are out in the world for the different candidates, and it's very telling what's going on. There's a lot of violence going on, a lot of violent people in the world, angry people. And of course, they're going to point to the Trump camp as saying the anger is coming for there. But when you really dig in and find the real stories about it, you find that it isn't coming from the Trump camp. Bernie Sanders supporters are probably more violent than any of the other ones out there. And they're getting lumped in with the Black Lives Matter, the terrorist organization. You see, black people do matter. just like white people matter and yellow people and red people. But Black Lives Matter is an organization. It's not about black people. It's an organization that is it's an activist organization funded by an old white guy named George Soros. And all of the blacks are running around out there thinking that they are doing something important in the world when all they are doing is following the things they are told to do by the old white guy. And yet these people probably are running around thinking that they're not slaves, when in actuality they are nothing more than slaves for Soros. And they don't even see it, which is sad because they're being used. And that's the sad part about it. How many people are being used in this campaign? And of course you got Hillary, who's about to be indicted or investigated, by the Fed. Her aides are being questioned. And you got that whole nonsense going on. You got Bernie Sanders, who wants to bring socialism into this country, and a whole bunch of millennials across the country in colleges that think this is a good idea. Obviously, they haven't gone back and looked to see what socialism is and understand how it leads to communism. My guess is that most of these millennials think that this socialism is like a social network. If you listen to some of the comments out there by many of these, you start to realize that in many cases there aren't two brain cells to rub together, and therein lies the problem. There's a lot of stupid people out there. All sides of the fence. On Trump's side, on Bernie's side, on Hillary's side, on Cruz's side, on Kasich's side. There's a whole lot of misunderstanding and angry people, and it seems as if the media continues to feed this anger with their mistruths. Because if the people weren't watching the media, they wouldn't hear the mistruths, because they could go and find other sources. Because I'm telling you, you can go and find sources online where you can actually read about the events, or you can actually see video, because in this day and age, 2016, everybody has a camera that can take video. So there's tons of video that shows up all the time where people can actually see what's going on. It's like this woman, and the Trump situation. She didn't think there were cameras around. I don't know why she wouldn't, but after the fact, once the cameras were discovered and caught what was going on, it could see that it conflicted with what she actually said. And this is happening more and more and more. So why are there so much dishonesty? Why are there so many dishonest people who seem to care only about lying than they do about actually getting the truth out and seeing the world evolve? It's that people think that their lies have no consequences in the world. But these lies all have consequences. And then on top of all of this, we have a real situation that's being overlooked by one party and continuing to propagate more of it, while another group is saying how bad it is. And I'm talking about the situation with these extremists. And yes, there are those who call them extremists, but then when you look at some of the video that's available from the various mosques, and you hear some of the imams and people talking about it, they don't refer to themselves as extremists. They say this is just normal Muslim ideology. And it seems to be an ideology that, though they say it's a peaceful ideology, doesn't seem to come across as peaceful, because there's a lot of violent people amongst their group that aren't tolerant. Now, is this everybody? Absolutely not. But those who are doing that, the small percentage, it might only be 10%, 15%, out of a total 1.2 billion Muslims, that's well over 100 problem makers, 100 million problem makers. Okay, that's a lot of problem makers. Imagine putting 100 million problem makers here in the United States. There's only 307, 308 million people here. So imagine that happening. Imagine if 10% of those coming across are problem makers, and they send 100,000 across. 10% of 100,000 is 10,000. That means there's potential 10,000 when they bring 100,000 across. 90,000 of them might be peaceful, but those aren't the ones we're interested in. We're interested in the ones who are out there causing the problems, killing people. And so the ones who are peaceful either need to speak up, or they need to get out of the way, because they are not helping the situation. And those who are causing the problems, we need to pinpoint those somehow. People say profiling is not good. Well, profiling is just using one's eyes. When one continues to see that there are these extremists that are out there that are all of the Muslim faith and all to be connected to Islam, when 100% of those are causing problems, then one could simply ascertain from that information that we need to look at the people that are part of that group. And when you look at the people of the group, well, that's going to be someone's going to say that's profiling. It's just observing. It's looking at a group. You have to look at a group. You know, profiling done all the time. The film industry does it. When they cast people, they profile. It's called casting. When you look at your neighbor and you realize and you understand what neighbor looks like, what color he is, what gender he is, guess what? You're profiling. When you go to a dating site and you select the people that you want to look for, you're profiling. It's done all the time, so why shouldn't we be smart and use our eyes to be able to look and say, you know what? Those folks over there look the same as the ones who are causing the problems, and then move to understand whether that's real or not. And since those of the Islamic faith, those who are the peaceful ones of their religion of peace, we would think that you would be upset that you're getting a bad rap by all of those causing problems, and you might want to speak up against it. That would help the situation. But we've got a huge clusterfuck going on with all of this nonsense. And we need to figure it out. We can't turn a blind eye. Anybody who is taking the time to research and looks to see what's going on in Europe, in Germany, with all of these migrants that came in, these countries aren't going to be the same. They've destroyed these countries by allowing people in that are now causing problems. And we have leaders. We have a Muslim in office, a Muslim terrorist, Obama, Hussein, who is causing problems. And he wants to bring more and more of these problem makers in. And you got people that want to support him and think this is a good thing to do. Saw a great video yesterday. It's something that I think should be asked. It was a guy doing a petition. He was out in Virginia. He was doing a petition asking people to sign the petition in order to bring more immigrants into the country. Not only into the country, but into the particular city there where he was, in Virginia. And he was asking people. Some people walked away. Some people signed it, said, oh, yes, we need to bring them in. And then he followed up with those people with a second question. Are you willing to take someone into your home? 100% of those people that signed the petition saying, yes, bring him into the city, did not want any in their homes. So it was okay to bring them into their city, but they didn't want anything to do with them. They had all kinds of excuses. So that's the question. When you have a friend or liberal or somebody out there that is saying, bring them in, ask them how many they're willing to take into their place of residence to live with them. And you will find that none of them do. Maybe there might be a couple. You might get someone like Angelina Jolie who's going to do something like that. But then again, Angelina Jolie is connected to other influences that are following particular agendas. So what agenda is she pushing? She's pushing the globalist agenda. You got a lot of problems out there, my friends. But we have to be able to look at the problems so we understand what they are. And then we can solve the problems. Just like when we're in school, you remember, you have a problem, you look at it, and you solve it. If you don't know what the problem is, how can you solve it? Do we walk around pretending we're blind? I don't think so. It's not going to work. So as you're watching this circus of the whole political agenda that's going on and the political event, watch it with an open mind. Spend some time doing some research to see what the real story is. Don't take the face value what they say in the mainstream media because they're lying to you. And if you want to try a real interesting experiment, watch one station, and as you're watching to it, flip between the other mainstream stations and see how many times you catch them telling the same story at the same time. You might be quite shocked at that to find out that that is going on. And then your question might be, well, how is it possible they're all telling the same story at the same time? Aha! It's because they're all following a similar script, because they're all connected. Because remember yesterday I told you about the Council on Foreign Relations, 1921, how they infiltrated the media? It's still going on. But people who are asleep, the sheep of the world, the sheeple, they think that this is all truthful, and they're not looking behind the scenes. But we're told we're supposed to look. Jesus said, look, seek, knock, ask. Do not be deceived was a message over and over and over that Yeshua gave. Shouldn't we listen to that? Seems very important that we should, because bad things happen when we don't pay attention. We need to pay more attention. Now, let me throw a few links up here and a few things I want to turn the attention to here. The Lucifer Rebellion. Because this kind of plays into everything. This is, we have some origins of evil and darkness and stuff. But we've got 3 pages here for you to look at. Evil did not originate on planet Earth. Before God created Earth, he had already populated the universe with other rational beings. The Bible called these beings angels and named several different orders. Angels have often been made to appear as fantasy by those seeking to discredit their existence. Many artists have intentionally or inadvertently supported this by their inaccurate illustrations. Children have often seen the little angels and devils on the shoulders of cartoon characters, made ridiculous in appearance and action. One result of all of this is that many people who believe that life exists elsewhere in the universe reject the existence of angels because of their association with fantasy roles. But the angels are not creatures of fantasy. They are simply another form of living creature that has come from the hand of God. The angels, like mankind, were created with free will and were subject to the same conditions regardless of their eternal life. The most prominent of these chose to rebel against God. In order to understand the conditions in which we live today, we need to understand this angel and how he came to rebel against God. What did Lucifer hope to accomplish with this rebellion? Well, we have the Isaiah 14 right here. Let's look at this. It says, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which thou didst weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven, I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also upon the mount of congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds, I will be like the Most High. So, he wanted to be like God. Now, is Lucifer Yaldabaoth? It's possible. Somehow he's all connected within this story here. Let me go on to another link here. Just move through this quickly. Here we have Bible verses about Lucifer's rebellion. Samuel 15:23 is one of them. And we had God hates rebellion. He hates the attitude of lawlessness it produces, as well as the crop of wicked fruit that results from it. The prince of all rebellion is Satan, the devil, also known as the sum of all moral impurities. Though we do not see this demon physically, the influence of this arch-rebel permeates our society. We need not look far to see the children rebelling against their parents, artists rebelling against the status quo, and the fringe groups rebelling against the government. Satan personifies rebellion. It was Lucifer's rebellious actions that saw him tossed out of heaven and renamed Satan, or the adversary. Okay. Alright, so got some more links here. And then finally one last grouping here. This is from the Urantia book, The Lucifer Rebellion. It says Lucifer was a brilliant primary Lanarodic son of Nebadon. He had experienced service in many systems, had been a high counselor of the group. He was distinguished for wisdom, sagacity, and efficiency. Lucifer is number 37 of his order, and when commissioned by the Melchizedek, he was designated as one of the 100 most able and brilliant personalities in more than 700,000 of his kind. From such a magnificent being, through evil and error, he embraced sin and now is numbered as one of the system's sovereigns in Nebadon, who have succumbed to the urge of self and surrendered to the sophistry of spurious personal liberty, rejection of universe allegiance, and disregard for fraternal obligations, blindness to cosmic relationships. In the universe of Nebadon, domain of Christ Michael, there are 10,000 systems of inhabited worlds. In the history of Ladonanek's sons and all of the work throughout these thousands of systems and at the universe headquarters, only 3 systems have ever been found in contempt of the government of the Creator's Son. Okay, the causes of the rebellion says Lucifer and his first assistant Satan had reigned in Jerusalem for more than 500,000 years, when in their hearts they began to array themselves against the universal Father and his vigilant Son, Michael. There was no peculiar or special conditions in the system of Satania which suggested or favored rebellion. It is our belief that the idea took origin in form of Lucifer's mind, and that he might have instigated such rebellion no matter where he might have been stationed. Lucifer first announced his plans to Satan, but it required several months to corrupt the mind of his able and brilliant associate. However, when once converted to the rebel theories, he became a bold and earnest advocate of self-assertion and liberty. No one ever suggested rebellion to Lucifer. The idea of self-assertion is in opposition to the will of Michael and the plans of the Universal Father as they are represented in Michael, had its origin in his own mind. His relations with the Creator's Son had been intimate and always cordial. At no time prior to the exaltation of his own mind did Lucifer openly express dissatisfaction about the universe administration, notwithstanding his silence for more than 100 years, or standard time. The union of days in Selvington had been reflecting the universe that was not at peace in Lucifer's mind. The information was also communicated to the Creator and the constellation fathers of Nordial. Okay, I'm going to leave this link for you because there's a lot here. But is Lucifer Yaldabaoth? We know the story of Yaldabaoth. Yaldabaoth, his mother Sophia. But something happened during that time. There was a rebellion of something that occurred. This is where Michael was asked to step in to fix the situation. And then Lucifer, or Yaldabaoth, was cast down to earth. We now know those names also as Yahweh. So again, it goes back to our confusion is that we have a fallen being who is influencing society, and we are told that this being is God. Well, can you imagine and can you understand how we would have things all screwed up if the very being we're told is the God that created all things? If we aren't told that this is the fallen one, of course we're going to have some confusion. That's why confusion exists so much, because this being was a confused being, ignorant of his place in the universe, ignorant of the Father of all, and when discovered that, became arrogant. These are all the same qualities that are assigned to Lucifer. These are the qualities that are assigned to really any leaders that become corrupt here on earth. So it's the same energy that just manifests over and over and over again by those willing to take on that mantle, take on that energy. And we seem to have a lot of willing participants these days. So I think it's important. I just briefed over this. You could see there's a lot here to this. I would, suggest going through and reading this as well as the other ones to understand. The Urantia book's quite interesting because it has some very detailed information that isn't in the Bible, but it also does seem to find some synchronicity with the Bible because the basic stories are generally the same. And then of course you've got the Bible, which we know has its issues because it was written by man. Though it was inspired by God, it was written by man. And then we have the Gospels of the Gnostics, which were hidden and then discovered. Hidden because it was believed that there would be those who would try to suppress this information. And we could see the suppression's gone back a long way, that someone was concerned that they had to hide this stuff. So on and on. And then of course we go back to Yeshua, who keeps reminding us not to be deceived. Not to be deceived. Unfortunately, many are being deceived, and when people don't believe, first of all, in Yeshua, then they're not going to listen to the words that he had to say. And if they're not listening to the words, they're going to go through life and they're going to be deceived. On a daily basis, just think of how many people are being deceived here on earth. Walk through and just see today how many people have their eyes open. versus the people who are walking through life blind or being deceived willingly. And look and see how many of those in power are intentionally deceiving others. We could tell by the lies that they continue to tell. Media, we know that they're deceiving people. We know politicians are very deceptive. We know that the banking system and the government structures are deceptive, on and on and on. We're living in a world of deception, a world of illusion. But how do we break through this illusion? By remembering that we are connected to spirit, that there's this spirit, this spark inside of us that shines bright. And when we allow that spark to come forth, the illusion dissipates. Okay? We have to dispel this illusion. We are not in chains. We are not in bondage. We only think we are. We are actually free. We need to connect with our higher selves. That way we remain free. We need to put our house in order to understand. It's up to us. Each of us have an opportunity to make a difference, but we have to get past the part about being lied and deceived, because that's not doing any of us any good. All right, switching gears here. I wanted to bring up this particular story because I thought this was quite fascinating, a feel-good story. This young lady, 9 years old, ran a course that the Navy SEALs run, and she completed it in pretty spectacular fashion. It says Mila Bizarro is a rising star in the world of obstacle course racing as the youngest competitor to ever complete the Battle Frog Extreme 24-hour race, a course designed by Navy SEALs. She's in the gym Monday through Friday for at least 3 hours. She has several coaches and a sports medicine doctor to keep her on track. The catch, Mila is only 9 years old. Christian Bizarro, Mila's dad, and one of her coaches calls his daughter nothing short of mind-blowing. Christian is the co-founder of Focused Movement Academy in Miami, a gym that provides fitness coaching and programming. Although Mila has always loved hanging out at the gym after school, she started really to get into fitness after she was bullied by some of her classmates. The gym became sort of an after-school program for Mila, and she started training for obstacle course races. In November, she completed the Battle Frog 15K, followed by a Spartan Sprint in December. This month, Mila, with the youngest competitor in the Battle Frog's 24-hour race designed by Navy SEALs. The race includes running 36 miles, swimming an 8-kilometer course, and 25 obstacles for 6 laps. Wow. How Mila perceives herself is completely different than 6 months ago, Christian told ABC News. He said his daughter never had to physically fight the schoolyard bullies. Instead, when Mila found an understanding of how powerful she is, the bullying stopped all on its own. She owns that, Christian said. Her success has inspired her to lead an anti-bullying campaign and encourage other kids to become active. I do racing to inspire kids that have a special side of them and to get them off the couch. As for the bullies who teased her, Mila has some choice words for them. Look who's talking now. All right, so good story, more to the article. But this child overcame her situation and overcame the illusion of her situation by finding the strength within her. And look what she's accomplished. And you know what? Each and every one here on earth has the opportunity to do like this girl, to overcome whatever problems and challenges we're having, to overcome it. All right? Now, what we all need to do, this is an article by in 5D, Achieving Inner Peace. You wrote, everything will be all right. This is by Ben. Sometimes life can get so challenging that we all think that all we can think to do is call up Doctor Everything. I'll be all right. Just give us a pill of a magic potion to make the pain or sadness or frustration go away. Now, please. When we are in such an inner turmoil that we may not realize how much control we have over our thoughts and feelings, so we hide under the covers or complain to everyone that we know about how tough our life is. However, there is something that every person on the planet can do to help make themselves get through life's challenges, and that is to strive to achieve inner peace. Inner peace or peace of mind is an inner state of calm that allows us to mentally and spiritually feel at ease with our life. It imparts us with knowledge and understanding we need to be able to stay strong during times of distress. It's our best weapon against feeling helpless or out of control about how our life is moving along. Doesn't that sound amazing? It is And you too can achieve inner peace by practicing one or more of the following. We have self-acceptance, trust, forgiveness, know love, relieve stress, peaceful affirmations, gratitude. There's a wonderful saying that says peace of mind is not the absence of conflict from life, but the ability to cope with it. It's not always easy to feel peaceful when your life is falling apart or just not going the way you thought it should be by now. Inner peace is really a choice. You can choose to not let the conflict in your life shut you down to love and self-acceptance and gratitude. Choose to trust, choose to let go of stress, choose forgiveness, choose to believe that everything will be all right. In other words, choose to look past the illusion. Okay? It's all a choice, my friends. It's all a choice. We can get caught up in the illusion and we can think it's, oh, such a bad thing, or we can take control. It's kind of like when you learn how to lucid dream. You take control in your dream, so when some bad dream comes about, you change it. We all have that ability. The only problem we have is that we buy into the lies of others saying that we don't have this ability. And when we buy into that lie and we believe that, we find ourselves in the situations we're in where we become trapped thinking we can't escape. Very easy. Very, very easy, my friends. We just have to step out of the illusions. We have to step away from the lies just to know the truth. And you know where the truth is? Inside. Inside of you. Inside of me. Inside of each one of us. We have the truth because we are connected by that spirit that is within us to divinity. This physical body is just a physical body. But the divinity that animates this body, it's inside. It's the light, it's that spark of life within us. It comes from the eternal Father, Mother, Son. We need to let that shine. All right, here's a message for today from Archangel Gabriel.
Archangel Gabriel Daily Message / Tuesday, March 29, 2016 by Shelley Young. Dear ones, in fast-moving energies it is important to consciously choose to align in whatever way feels best to you on a daily basis. This way you will be cooperatively moving with the energies. Your willingness to accept, receive, integrate, transmute, and release will allow you to shift in more comfortable increments and minimize your ascension symptoms. What do we mean by align? Anything that helps you still and feel your connection to Source. Prayer, meditation, walking in nature, sea salt baths, or simply sitting in quiet connection, all are activities that will help immensely. It is far easier to move a little bit at a time than to play energetic catch-up. It is also much more pleasant to shift with the assistance of your guides and helpers, who are always available to you in response to your simple request. That act of communing with Spirit is showing your desire to work as a team, to bridge the energies between heaven and earth, and to joyfully participate in your divine evolution. Archangel Gabriel.
All right, good message. Good message, just reminding us of our own inner strength. Reminding us of our own inner strength. We have a lot of inner strength, way more than we allow ourselves to have. Just imagine if the leaders of the countries really helped us to get to find that inner strength, encouraged us, we'd be in a whole different place. If we weren't fighting over religions, if we weren't fighting over politics, and if we weren't fighting over all the things we were fighting over, man, where would we be? Just imagine where we'd be in the world if we hadn't been covering up things like the UFO phenomena for all these years, 50-some, 60-some years. Just imagine where we'd be if we knew and understood the truths of what was going on spiritually, physically. We'd be so much more evolved, but we hold ourselves back. We hold ourselves back because we don't pay attention to the divinity within us. We get caught up in the illusion or the matrix. Think of it as the matrix. We get caught up in the matrix. And in that matrix, we think it's real, but it's not. So, let's break from the illusion. Let's break from the illusion just by paying attention and understanding there's something more greater, bigger. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and exhale. Take another deep breath. Exhale again. Another breath, and feel this breath going through, and feel the breath moving through all the cells in your body, energizing them, cleansing them of all of the stale energy, the stagnant energy, releasing that energy that it might be rejuvenated and renewed, and just feel yourself energized. Feel the energy throughout your being, your body, through your mind. And as you feel this energy, and you feel this breath moving through your body, you begin to take your attention away from the outside world to the inner world. And there on the inside, you see the spark of divinity that is within. And so you look at the spark, you feel the kindness, the love, the eternalness, and you allow this spark to shine brighter by simply stepping back, putting our thoughts aside, just to simply be with this light. And as we do, the light expands, this light within us, until our entire body is filled with this light. And then we let this light expand out into the world. So let's imagine ourselves walking through the world, and everything is dark. And as we move through the world, through the darkness of the world, and we are glowing with light, we see that things become a bit brighter. And as we move through the world, shining bright the light within us, others are encouraged to do the same, and they begin to shine the light within them. And one by one, person by person, lights are turned down and the darkness dissipates, until we see brightly the path before us. And we realize that in the darkness we were just bumping into each other, missing the information that was right before us, but in the light we see clearly. And we understand that we are all connected. We are all in this together, and we all have the opportunity to evolve, individually and collectively. So let's just imagine ourselves walking through life and seeing one by one persons shining their light. And with each person that shines their light, we see another that shines their light as well. And the process continues on and on. So let's just imagine this world, a place where light is shining bright and the darkness dissipates. The deceptions are revealed for what they are, and the truths are accentuated. So let the subconscious mind continue on this journey. Let's bring the conscious mind back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3 coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2 coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1 coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. Take another deep breath. Exhale and open your eyes. Alright, my friends, thank you very much. That's it for today. Remember, each and every one of us having the opportunity to make a difference in the world. Every small little difference we make makes a big difference in the world. Because if we're all taking little steps and making little progress, collectively we take big steps and make big progress. As a saying, by the inch it's a cinch, by the mile it's a trial. So we only need to go an inch at a time. We only need to expand a little bit every day. Get better just a little bit every day. And before we know it, we string together all those little bits of greatness to find out we've achieved a whole lot of greatness. All because we're simply allowing that which is within us, our true nature, to shine bright into the world. So let the light shine, my friends. Let the greatness within you shine. Because that's what we're here to do. And I know that we can all overcome this. Because that's just an illusion. The truth is that the universal creator shines through all of us. We just need to let it shine. That's it, my friends. I'll be back tomorrow. Till then, have yourselves an awesome day. Just pay attention to what's going on. Move through the illusions. See the truths. And enjoy life. That's it. I love you. Keep loving each other, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace. I'm out of here.